Yes, indeed.
Howdy.
Yes, a baby.
Oh,
No, actually, I can't speak louder.
Hey, Tom.
yep, I can hear you.
Wonderful.
How are you?
I'm great, thank you. How about yourself?
Doing very well.
I'm glad to hear that.
We blow you up to full size. There we go. Get rid of the chat. I don't know how to get rid of the chat. All right. Let's see. Close. Okay. We are at full size. I'm
Huzzah.
I'm going to attempt screen sharing, but I've tried this a couple of times unsuccessfully. But let's give this a shot. It will be Files and Dropbox. Share screen. Can you see anything with maybe I should open it. No.
Just seeing you at the moment.
I pulled up your profile.
Hmm.
It's on my screen, but I don't know how to get it to the Zoom meeting.
Um, how about I have a little button on the bottom of my toolbar that says share screen.
Try that.
I have it on mine. It says I can't host disabled participant screen sharing. But do you have that button on yours?
Let me see. What does it say?
So if you
Screen sharing, yes.
yeah,
That's
so
what I
click
clicked.
what happens when you click that?
It says one participant can share at a time. Multiple participants can share simultaneously. Advanced sharing options. Let me look at this.
Have you actually now clicked yours onto share screen?
I did, but it had pulled up the file that I want to share, but
Hmm.
it's not coming on here. Hmm. I don't know if I've got to go in and change some different settings, but I was just going to share this.
Can you send me a link that then I could open up on my computer, or
I don't know. Let's try. I see the.
do you have that as a file on your computer, or is it a link that you're
It's in Dropbox. Let's see if I can do that. Share screen again. Dropbox. Share. Radiant. How to set shared link permission is what it's asking. Uh, well, I can send it to you afterwards.
alrighty?
Let's carry on. Um, do you know anything about human design or gene keys?
I do not know.
Okay, human design came first, and it was a combination of astrology, the I Ching, the Kabbalah system, and the chakra system.
Mhm.
So what he did, Ra, who's no longer with us, created this way to map out an individual by the time. There's two components: the time you're born and 90 degrees before then. I don't know squat about astrology. This isn't really astrology. And then Richard Rudd took that information and said, look, there's a life path here, and created this, the hologenic profile. From each one of these is one of the each Chinese I Ching, which is about 6,000 years old. The Chinese figured if you take a coin and dropped it 3 times, you're going to get heads, tails, heads, 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 heads. There are a total of 6 possibilities.
Mhm.
And those lines, those 6 possibilities, is what I'm reading.
Okay.
Now, if you do that twice, you come up with a lower trigram and an upper trigram, and that is the I Ching.
Mhm.
And that is 64 possibilities. Also, human DNA is made up of 64 points. Musical composition, 64. 64 is just a universal number. They should have used that in the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Universe, but they didn't.
No, yeah, makes more sense than 42.
So in your life work, you're a line 1. And a line 1 is called a creator. Line 1 is the foundational line. It's the first line. So it's
Oh, hey Tom, before we've going further, do you think you can give me permission to record and then I can record this and have it for reference?
it is recording,
Oh, okay, great.
and I'll give you a link to the as soon as we're done.
Oh, wonderful.
So I'm a 5-1, you're a 1-3. The 1 is the investigator, and it needs to know why. And it can always go deeper into why. But it does need a foundation of knowledge. It is creative and practical and provides solutions. However, it needs to be grounded. So some practice of grounding for you is extremely important.
Mhm.
It does best with simplicity. And I give it the 4 stars. It does best when it has all of the information directly, without hidden agendas, without manipulation. Just give me the information. The shadow side of the first line is repression, and the wound is insecurity. And insecurity is healed with honesty. Honesty to yourself as well as from those around you, and from you to those around you. The first line in the evolution, well, the first 4 are what's called the activation sequence. The second set is called the Venus sequence, which is about how you love and all about relationships. And then this last sequence here at the top is called the Pearl sequence. Richard Rudd is next month is beginning a deep dive of people all over the world and teaching the Pearl for the first time ever. So I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, that's really great for you.
Your evolution, the gift that you have there is patience. So I would assume that impatience is something you struggle with. Your life's work, your gift is adventure. Now, as we go from the 1, this is sort of the breakdown. get through impatience and are really in that solitude of breakthrough, we go to the radiance. And your radiance is a third line. The gift that you have there is inquiry. I can never say that word right. Inquiry.
Mhm.
Okay, the third line is probably one of the toughest lines to deal with because it's all about trial and error and making mistakes and fucking up and figuring out what does not work.
Mm.
It's a very experiential uh, line. It's about discovery and about wisdom from the experiences and from failure.
Mhm.
They happen to be very dynamic. Threes tend to be a jack of all trades. The shadow side of the third line is uncommitment
Mm.
or being pessimistic. The wound is shame, and shame is healed with humor. So don't take yourself so seriously, Stella. Now, the bottom line, the purpose has two different meanings. And by purpose, it doesn't mean what you do in life, it just means what you are.
Mm.
Now, in the end of the activation sequence, it's about movement. So as like your blood flows through you, that's where it comes down to that fluidity.
Mhm.
And the gift you have is imagination. Now that same thing is that what is your purpose in relationships as well? And in relationship, there's a positive and a negative. The positive is that you're an adventurer. The negative is that you can be an escape artist. I'm out of here. If I'm hitting some resonances, let me know.
There have been many residences, yeah, throughout. Um, yeah, I think that that is a very true part of um, my relationship with relationships, and I
Right.
think I've been working pretty hard on overcoming the negative of the escape artist. And I have found someone who grounds me and is the ground to my investigative self.
Well, that's perfect because that's precisely what you need.
Yeah, yeah.
The
Um,
next the next sphere is it's called the attraction sphere. It's what is the energy of you that people are drawn to? What is that light? And for you, the gift is humanity. You also have a third line, which the positive side is playfulness. And I don't want to say the negative side, but the other side is promiscuity.
hmm.
It's not necessarily a bad thing, but
No, as long as you know, keep it all in balance. But
right,
yes, that is that is part of it for me, for sure. But that's, I mean, that's what play is, right?
right. Well, it can be
One form of play.
one form of play, exactly. Now we go into the developmental stages and it goes backwards. The first sphere is IQ, and most people understand what IQ is. It's how you mentally developed, and it's from about age 12 to 13 to about 19. And here you have a second line. And the second line is the brilliant mind. And the brilliant mind can be also provocative. The gift that you have there is versatility, mental versatility. Now, as we go backwards, the IQ is developed from how you developed emotionally, which is the EQ. And the EQ, you have a first line, and that is all about self-esteem or self-sabotage. So it's back to that foundational piece, knowing your worth.
Yeah.
And the gift there you have is freshness. I love and hate that I don't print out all of the I Ching. I
Yeah.
mean, because we're not trying to eat an elephant in 45 minutes here, but just this piece of just the lines is really powerful.
Yep.
And the last stage of development from birth to age 7, it's called the SQ, which is your spiritual intelligence. Or,
Mm.
and you have a fourth line there. Um, and the fourth line is all about belonging. It's about kinship and community. So that's what your soul needs, and it seems that that's what you're attempting to do.
Yep.
And the gift there that you have is discernment.
Mm.
Now, the last one is called the core wound, and it also has two purposes. It's the ending of the Venus path and the beginning of the pearl. So, as the core wound is sort of what you brought into this life from the DNA of your ancestry.
Mhm.
And that core wound is guilt.
Sure is.
And guilt is healed with forgiveness. The gift there is insight. And that core wound takes you into what is your gift to the world. That's what the pearl is about, your prosperity. And by prosperity, I don't mean wealth. By prosperity, I mean the flow of abundance through you. And um, you're a fifth line, which means management and responsibility.
Yep.
So that begins your pearl. And in the culture, you're also a fifth line. I have yet to study the pearl, so I can only give you some. I don't particularly know what the pearl and the culture sphere are,
Mhm.
but it looks like the fifth line says society. Uh, there's something right in the middle of the word. It is. Your culture has to do with building society. And the pearl, you have a second line. And the IQ and the pearl are the only places you have second lines. And the second line is always a mirror.
Mm.
Um, and it's about recognition. So not only do you need to be recognized, you need to recognize those who need to be recognized. And the gift there you have is perseverance. I would imagine that fits specifically.
All of this fits quite well. You've been pretty spot on from the beginning.
Well, that is the end of the lines.
Well, thank you, Tom. Yeah, I mean, Yeah, I like just from the shadow of repression, right? That's very true. Um, and the wound of insecurity and healing that through honesty, that feels very, very true. And it feels like a lot of the work that I have done, but still, need to continue to do. Um, it feels like I'm more in the phase now of healing my shame with humor. That's definitely where I am. And as far as purpose and relationship, the adventurer and the escape artist, like, yep. Very, very true. But I have found that person who allows me to go off an adventure and do all the things that I want to do, and gives me that freedom, so I don't feel the need to escape, which is
That's awesome.
grateful for that, because uh, uh, otherwise I'd still be running around doing crazy things, without having the grounding to also be doing the life's work.
Right.
Which, I mean, what what we are in the process of doing here in Detroit, with our community, and like pretty much all that stuff is spot on in here.
I know I cheated and printed yours out. I just had it. Oh, it's right under here.
I don't know if you know this. I was professionally, I'm a stage manager, so the fact that my prosperity is management and responsibility, I mean, as well as what I'm trying to manage and create here. But
Okay, now that I look at what some of the I Chings are, they make more sense to me now.
no, yeah,
So I have the whole thing printed with all of your numbers on it, and I will give you a link. You can take the class if this is of interest to you. Of the first four, it's called the activation sequence free. I'll give you the
okay,
code,
cool,
and if the pearls, I'll give you a link to the pearl sequence so you can at least listen to Richard explain what it is.
yep,
And if it's of interest, just use the link that I provide because I get a small payment.
cool,
And if your partner wants to do this, I'd be happy to do both of you guys.
awesome. I will let him know.
What I do ask is that you spend a couple of days and reflect on this.
Hmm.
And then if there are a couple, one or two or three really nuggets of something that you really gained from this, put it in the comments underneath your video.
Sure.
And I'll send you a link to the video. Oh, I should stop it. Let's do